Okay, factoring by grouping, and we're also going to do synthetic division. Okay, factoring by grouping is just another way to solve polynomials. Usually used with cubics, but it can be applied to other places. I'll show you one. Okay. The goal is to split it into two things. This one I think is pretty straightforward. No, not yet. Okay, so I have to group it first. Okay. And the trick with this is that you're going to end up with the same thing in parentheses when you factor those. So reverse the distributive property there. What can I factor out of just these parentheses? No. How many, Logan?
1, 2.
You said 2. That's right. So I have. And what can I factor out of this one? Okay, what's left? So 2p plus 5 here. And what here? Hey, look at that. They match. That's the goal.
Are they always going to match?
Well, if grouping is a possible method to use, yes. Okay. Here's the fun part. These two I can now bring out together. And then what's left are these two. So I've taken each of these terms has a 2p plus 5, so I've factored it out, and p squared plus 3 is left. No, there's just one. That's the confusing part of this. Each term has a 2p plus 5, right? So I take it out like I'm reversing the distributive property. So there's only one on the outside, and then these are the what's left inside. Okay. Now I can solve that cubic. Okay. Well, first of all, can I factor that? That's a quadratic. Can I factor it?
No.
Which one is it?
No.
I'm pretty sure you can't. Because it has to be -3 and -1. Those don't add up to 0, right? Or 3 and 1. And those don't add up to 0 p's. So to solve, just set them equal to 0. This is normal now. You know how to do this part. So p equals those are your zeros. The square root of a negative number is not a possible real number. So we have to invent something Imaginary. Are you okay with factoring by grouping? You're grouping them and you're taking the common thing out. Okay. Can I move on to synthetic division?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Here's a real handy, synthetic division is real handy if you know one of the factors. Is it that bad on this Tuesday? A 2 and a 4, yeah. Come on, Waterman. Okay, so I will calm down on the fancy writing. Sorry. Okay, so f is x cubed minus x squared minus 14x plus 24. X minus 3 is a factor. Using synthetic division, I can find the other factor. Okay, so okay, let's set up here. Oh, graph paper makes this beautiful. What goes in that little box? No. The opposite. So positive 3. And then what goes outside it? 1. Negative 1. Negative 14. And 24. Drop the 1. So, for those of you that still don't have this, if you have it, have fun. Okay, 3 times 1 is 3. That's 3 times 1. Okay. Now add. Then we do 3 times 2. Add again and we get negative 8. Oh, hallelujah. This is what's nice. If you are synthetically dividing a fraction or a factor, it'll never give you a remainder. Okay? So, never. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, what's my new polynomial? So f of x equals those two items. So synthetic division gave me the two factors that split up if you know one of them. Therein's where it gets more difficult. Factoring by grouping might work. Okay, can you factor that quadratic? Yes.
Yeah, or 2.
Simple. Now what are the zeros? Because those are all single x's, we can just throw the zeros down. Some really smart people.
Someone like, I'm gonna make 21st century high school kids like that.
I'm gonna complete the square.
I'm just gonna make it.
I'm pretty sure if those guys didn't invent this stuff, we wouldn't even have electricity. So keep complaining.
Did Thomas Edison have this?
That little cell phone in your pocket? Yeah. Oh, because you're obeying the rules, yes. If you want to, you can sketch the graph. It's a cubic that's positive, so you know the general shape. Then you're not a math nerd like me. Okay, we're over that.
Like 8 plus 8, that was on me.
Well, hopefully you can balance your checkbook someday then.
I like math, so all these variables are getting away.
Figure out the find your F. She's never going back.
Like throwing her backpack over her shoulder, like
Shut up, Jared. I'm still mad at you. Okay, so do we understand how to use synthetic division? Are you okay with that? No. We're not going to do remainders this time. So I just told you, I gave you a factor of that polynomial, right? You will never have a remainder if you're using a factor. Okay? We're not going to worry about it. Instead of what? Division? It's just easier. Good. All right. Thank you. Okay. We're going to do some classwork, but here's what I'm going to ask you to do at home. It's mostly review. I say mostly because I mean mostly. No. I think Kira, it's on the board or board. 4, 5? It's 4.5, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
45 or 45?
You guys hand me in chicken scratch and you criticize me for one little.
Maybe you should criticize us about it.
Mr. Arthur.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny. You were scratched by a chicken.